Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are going to be doing an updated base katana guide. I made a video about this over a year ago, but as the new patch dropped and as, my thoughts on the character has changed, it's definitely overdue for an update. This is really just going to help people who want to get into the character, and if you already know the character, maybe you'll learn something new. But I have been gone for a minute, so there are a few things that I want to speak about, and let's get into that real quick before we get into the guide. All right, so since this is a guide, I think it is definitely appropriate to announce and invite everybody who watches this video or is subscribed and watches my content and stuff to a Discord channel that me and my friend have made. Now, so what we did about a month ago, we came up with the idea that Mortal Kombat desperately needs to grow its competitive player base, and in general, we are missing something that's key that a lot of other fighting games have, which is a resource hub. So if you don't know what a resource hub is, basically when you're a part of other fighting game communities and you want to learn a specific character, you can join a Discord or go to a designated Google Doc or something like that, and it will have just resources for the character that you need, or so you can get into the game easier, learn your character easier, and find just stuff in general easier. So Mortal Kombat actually doesn't have one. They have had Mortal Kombat related discords, but nothing that ever leads to actually helping players grow and learn. So we created one. We got a lot of top players for every respected character on this game so far, and I have had them ingest all types of resources to help you learn any specific character. So instead of going searching around Twitter and hashtags and stuff to find stuff on a character, instead you can join this Discord and look at the resources and look at the characters, find their combos, find out what they do, find their best cameos, find stuff like that in one place in specific, which will make it a lot easier for people to get into the game. So with that being said, the link to the Discord is going to be in the description. Please, everybody join. It's open to anybody. We could all talk there. I actually did the katana section in there myself, and we're gonna continue to update everything. And if you want to add your own stuff, by all means, you are welcome to. So make sure you join. Once again, link in the description. Okay, lastly, a couple of just key points. I'm just gonna rapid fire throw them out there because I'm trying to get straight into this video. Why I haven't been uploading? I haven't been playing the game very often. Homelander is out of control. He is still out of control, but at least we got new stuff, and the game is probably in a better state than it was prior. So that's cool. That's why I haven't been playing and or uploading. But I am always active on Twitter. Make sure you follow my Twitter. Putting it right here. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Next, next thing to talk about is going to be my next video is actually going to be updating Kitana Jax. Jax has got some significant changes. I know I haven't updated this cameo in a long time, even though this is the main cameo that I am more known for. Other than that, this video, specifically this video, this is not going to be regarding any cameo. So when we're going through combos and anything, I'm not going to be speaking about cameo specific stuff. In the Discord, I did already go over what I think Kitana's best cameos are, and I gave reasonings, and I made a tier list for the specific cameos. So if you want to go into the Discord and get that stuff, it is in there. But for this video, we're going to start out with key normals. We're going to go through understanding what type of character Kitana is. We're going to go through her specials, how to use them, understanding her pressure and her presence on the screen, and then we're going to do some combos and end it off with final thoughts on how I feel about the character with the meta and how it has evolved. So let's get straight into it. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you guys have any questions, of course, feel free to comment or DM me or message me on PlayStation. Cool, let's get into the video. So I think it's only fair to start this video off by describing the type of character that Kitana is. It'll help people decide if they want to play her or not. So if I was to describe her, I would say she is a neutral-based space controlling zoner. She has very, very good grounded buttons, a very strong mid sweep that covers half the screen. Her projectiles can cover practically any approach. You have a great grounded projectile, you have a great anti-air projectile, you have a wind trap that will stop them from approaching at all, stuff like that. She has very, very, very good screen presence and screen control. That is a character she is. If you're looking for a character that rewards strong fighting game fundamentals, I would always point people in the direction of Kitana. She has a great anti-air. She has it all, honestly, when it comes to playing neutral. Now, tied into that, what makes her even better is her movement. She has very good grounded movement, forward and backwards movement. She has good air movement to get her out of situations. And she also is not resource dependent. So she never needs cameos or even meter to start a combo, at least. She will always have access to a grounded launcher, what makes her able to stockpile meter, which is great because she's great at running away. You can stockpile your meter and save it for breaker and stuff like that. Now the cons to the character and why people do not like to play her sometimes or complain about her is her inability to consistently open people up close, and her overall just up close pressure. She is not a character that has access to an overhead. So if you're looking for a character with easy mix-ups, easy ways to open up a opponent that's blocking and stuff, that is not the type of character she is. She's a character that plays off of your opponent's mistakes and really, really rewards you for being able to read your opponent, and obviously severely punishes them for making mistakes against her. So once again, she does not have very good tools to just straight up open people up. And tied into that, a lot of her main strings, her go-to strings like back 2-4, 2-4, even 1-4, back 3-3, all these strings have armor gaps. So people complain about the idea that even when you are up close, you can't commit to any string because, you know, they can just armor through it and take their turn. Well, that is true. It's a pro and a con, right? Because yes, it is annoying that people are able to interrupt you, but also tied into her being a character that plays off of your opponent's mistakes. If you were to block one of those attempts and full combo punish them, they're going to be eating 40% for trying to armor through your string or, making the wrong read. That's the type of character she is. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. And we can get into what makes her great, which is her neutral, which we'll start off with her buttons. So let's start to build Kitana's neutral from the ground up and talk about her most relevant strings, which are going to be the ones that I have pinned here. Kitana is one of those characters that actually have a use for every single string in her arsenal, but once again, these are the most important. We're going to go in order, starting off with 1-1-2. Now, her standing 1 is a 7-frame high, and 1-1-2 is going to be your panic string. So when you're contesting staggers, contesting movement, anything like that, this is going to be the string you're trying to throw out on the screen just to get something really fast out there. 1-1-2 is a great string in itself, but let's start to talk about 1-1 first. So what makes this a very good panic string is when you're interrupting staggers or people are trying to condition you with backdash pressure, which is very, very common in this game, 1-1 actually has more range than back 2. So if they're trying to, which back 2 is their best met, but if they are trying to backdash out of your range and stuff, a lot of the time you'll just find 1-1-2 chasing them down completely and not allowing them to do that. So it's already good in itself. It covers a lot of distance, it is very, very fast. And the thing about 1-1 is the further you are away, the better the frame data is. So when I'm directly up close, I'm -5. But if I start to space myself out, I'm -2 there. If I was to go even further, I'm -1. You can make it 0 on block even if you had good enough spacing. So it's very good in that regard. A lot of people will try to take their turn back and not realize what your frame data is because it changes so often that they hang themselves for doing that. Same thing with 1-1-2, and they talk about stealing your turn back and stuff like that. 1-1-2 is the ender of the string. It is -4 on block, and I wanted to mention this and get this out here because people call Kitana players mashers. Like that's the reputation that we have due to the fact that this string in particular is -4, and Kitana's down 1 is 7 frames. So if a character doesn't have an 11 frame mid, they do not get a really good strong response to this string. And that's not even just in regards to Kitana, it's in regards to any string in this game that is -4 sitting around -5. And most of Kitana's frame data is actually going to be sitting around that mark anyways. So it's really good because when you are trying to down 1 check, and apparently math what people say, and they do not have an 11 frame mid. For example, Kenshi does not have an 11 frame mid. So if I was to 1-1-2 and then mash on him, and he starts to try to poke me after he sees a string to steal his turn back, and I was to just block, now I have another way to steal another turn back because you just did a down 1 on block and it's my turn. So it's a really good string in that regard. I hope I'm not going too fast and confusing you. But another thing about 1-1-2 is it is our auto shimmy. So Kitana, if you don't know what an auto shimmy is a string that gives up the animation of a throw. So they try to tech and then they get hit by the second hit of the string, allowing you to combo off of it. Now, Kitana isn't the realest or the best by any means. You can actually only combo off of it if you have a cameo, a specific cameo. But it is good, and it is something that you will find yourself opening your opponent up with. And overall, I think that's all I really have to say about 1-1-2. It is our panic string, a lot of different options, and overall, just generally really, really good. Probably a top 3 string that this character has. So there you go. All right, so we have forward 1 and forward 1-2. Forward 1 is our 12 frame mid, our just go-to mid check up close, honestly. That's all this string is. It is very strong in that regard, and like I was just saying, up close mid checks aren't very common in this game, so the fact that we have one is really good for us. Not to mention it is completely hit confirmable, and it does the most damage as far as starters for Kitana, so it is our highest damaging starter for combos. And overall, just use it to stop people from mashing up close, trying to take back turns when they aren't supposed to. This is the check for that. That's really all there is to say about it. Let's go on to the next move. Okay, up next we have standing 2 and 2-4-1-2. I'm just going to put this entire string together in one little section. So standing 2, good stagger, -7 up close, but more importantly, it is Kitana's best anti-air. She can anti-air all types of things with this move, including Johnny jump and kick, who also has dumb jump and kicks, Omni-Man jump and kick. She can anti-air practically everything in this game for a lot of damage. You cannot freely jump on this character. She will kill you, even just by myself without a cameo, obviously. Something simple like that, you're getting hit for 35%. If I was to use a cameo, $45% for jumping, insane. Very good anti-air, or your go-to anti-air. And once you get used to using it a lot, you are going to love conditioning people to jump on you. Other than that, 2-4-1-2 is going to be our go-to hit confirm. This is going to be what you use for punishes and things like that, as well as your go-to string up close. Like I said, a whole bunch of staggers that are really good because of Kitana's movements. Standing 2 backdash into back 2 will stop people from poking out. 2-4 is actually 0 on block, but it has a gap in it. Regardless, 0 on block is crazy. You know, you can do whatever you want afterwards, try to challenge your opponent. A good mind game that I like to go by when I'm using 2-4 is if I do a poke check and they try to press something like a standing button or whatever, they will get hit and I'll take my turn back. Next time they're going to know, or if I condition them to realize that I'm going to be poke checking them after this, they are going to contest me with their own poke. So instead of doing 2-4 poke, I would do 2-4 backdash back 2, and it will blow up them trying to poke out of the string. Very good. Something easy to open your opponent up off of their own mistakes. Other than that, 2-4-1-2 by itself is actually only -6, and so it's completely safe. Like I was saying earlier, most of Kitana's strings are going to stay safe and stay around the same frame data. This is no exception, and it is still very strong in that regard. But overall, it's going to be your go-to punish, and is going to be one of your go-to strings just to use on block and use for, you know, staggers and pressure. It's one of the most common Kitana strings you'll actually practically see. Okay, next we're going to be talking about back 2 and back 2-4. This is going to be the string that gives you the most hits as Kitana, and the thing you're going to find connecting the most. Also the most complained about thing when it comes to Kitana, honestly. It is a fast 15-frame, very far-reaching mid. This will stop people from backdashing. This will stop people from walking forward on you. This will stop people from doing pokes in neutral and pressing buttons when they aren't supposed to, like whiffing buttons and stuff. This is going to be actually your go-to whiff punish tool as well. This is basically what your neutral presence is going to be built off of. This is her best string. It is very strong. It has a gap between back 2-4, but once again, like I was talking about, Kitana is a character that plays off of your opponent's mistakes. So yes, it's an annoying gap, but also it will give you opportunity to open your opponent up for them trying to mash out of it. But regardless, other than that, there's not much to say about it. Back 2-4 is -5 on block. We already spoke about playing around that range when it comes to frame data. Back 2 is -7, so you can get jailed with a standing 1 after they block that if they are fast enough, so you got to be careful. Other than that, that's all there is to say about it. This is going to be what you use the most. Get used to, you know, playing around this range and baiting your opponent to move in and take full advantage of this amazing mid. This is her best button, so I want to put that out there. But yeah, back to 4. Lastly, as far as very important neutral tools, is going to be Kitana Sweep. It is a far-reaching, very good sweep, probably one of the best sweeps in the game, if not the best sweep in the game. It goes insanely far, and it is a low, of course, so people trying to walk forward will get clipped by this a lot, and it's actually going to be something that conditions your opponent to jump. They're going to want to jump over this because it's a really annoying deal with, and it's not punishable from a distance at all. So you consistently hitting your opponent trying to walk in with this sweep will make them jump, and like I said, you have standing 2 to respond to that. So amazing sweep. That's all it is. It's a great neutral tool. This combined with back 2, more than enough. These are very, very, very strong. A lot of people are going to have a hard time dealing with these two things combined and will resort to jumping, which will get themselves killed. So there you go. These are going to be her most important things. Now we're going to touch on the less important stuff, but everything, once again, with this character has its niche. So I'm going to quickly speak about those, and then we'll go on to her specials. I guess actually before we go into the less relevant strings, we should speak about Kitana's pokes really fast. In conclusion, to sum it all up, they're all good. Every single one of them are actually good. They all have good range. Her down one is good. You don't have to worry about missing a counter poke and stuff because it has range on it. It is a good poke. -8 on block. Down 3 is also good. Amazing range. Quick low. Something that I throw out actually a lot as this character. It's super great. And as far as her down 4, also really good. A little bit slower than the others, but regardless, -5 on block. When it's spaced, it's -4. And we already spoke about what can happen when you're -4 in this game. So all of her pokes are great. Feel free to use literally all of them. I use every single one. So let's speak about Kitana's less used strings now. Sometimes when I'm fighting people and I throw out some of this stuff, they call it like DLC strings because they don't see it very often. But starting off with 1-4. 1-4 I use as a spacing trap. It is -7 with massive pushback. So normally when people try to contest it, they have to walk forward or dash forward first. So sometimes I like to go for a backdash back 2 to catch them doing something that they aren't supposed to do. Once again, this isn't something that you should do too often. You are -7. They do have an answer, but a lot of the time people don't know the answer because they don't expect the crazy pushback on this move. Other than that, 1-4 has a very large gap in between it. So people get used to expecting the second hit, and you can start to get away with more standing 1 staggers because they're expecting the second hit of the string. Other than that, we have back 1-4. I only put it on there because it is Kitana's plus string. It's +3 on block. You don't get anything guaranteed mid-screen or in the corner besides a poke in the corner, and mid-screen has too much pushback for you to actually poke them. But you can try to back 2 check them if they try to move. It has like a really weird block stun. It feels more plus than it is, so a lot of the time people will like feel the block stun and be like, oh, okay, wait, I can't move there. But they actually can. But I just wanted to make sure I put that in there. Back 3-3. Once again, Kitana is a character that doesn't have an overhead, so you should be blocking low against her anyways, but sometimes this can catch people off guard. It's not bad in itself. It's -7, so they can jail a standing button afterwards, but, you know, it's something to throw out every now and then. I don't really use it too often, but every now and then I'll hit somebody with it. Other than that, back 3-4, and standing 4-4 3-3, I wanted to talk about something in particular. So if I was to put my opponent on stance hold and have them duck, if you tie these strings in a down back 2, because, by the way, back 3-4, I think this string is terrible. If you know me, I've spoke about it before. This string sucks. The second hit is a high. If they try to poke between these two things, it will actually low profile the second hit and full combo launch her. It's really bad. But in particular, tied with down back 2, you can actually use that, and if your opponent is crouch blocking, you will fly across the screen and create a whole bunch of distance, and it's really, really good to throw out every now and then. You can actually do the same thing with standing 4-4 3-3. Both of them have this option. I prefer to do it off standing 4-4 3-3 more than back 3-4. Other than that, that's really it. But to tie into the last thing I actually want to speak about, sorry. So the standing 4 string is actually incredibly broken. And I tell people this and they're like, why is it broken? So Kitana has a jump combo or air combo, whatever you want to call it, that is jump 3-4. Jump 3-4 on hit looks like this. So if I was to hit them, that's what it looks like. But for some reason, I thought it was a glitch. This also exists with Rain. These are the only 2 characters that I know that can do this. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But this actually comes out on block and jails. And it's only due to the fact that the air combo exists. So the fact that this jails, you can do a jump and kick, which is significantly harder to anti-air and usually does not guarantee absolutely anything on block. So people like to try to poke or they like to try to armor. And if they were to try to do that, they would get hit by the standing 4. And if you buffer the entire string after this, then you can get a full combo launcher because this is the easiest hit confirm of your life. So if you were to hit them with this, you just can completely launch them. If you don't want to use a cameo, you can use the X down back 2 and launch them that way as well. Very strong. This is something that you'll see me use a lot off of my jump and kick because Kitana's jump and punches suck, but her jump and kick is broken. It's really, really good. So the fact that that gels is incredible, and more Kitana players need to use that because it will give you a lot of opportunity. And you don't have to do anything special. Even if they get hit, who cares? You got hit by my jump and kick, cool, free damage. And if you have a cameo, you get a full combo off of that. So very good. Make sure you keep that in mind. And those are going to be the less relevant strings that I think are semi-important for Kitana. Mostly though, that's standing 4-4 3-3. That string is dumb. Make sure you use that. It's really good. So now we are going to quickly speak about Kitana's special moves, we're going to do non-EX and then EX. So firstly, we have her back forward one, which is just a regular fan toss. Good ground up projectile, your main keep out tool, the projectile you're going to use the most. Good recovery. It has great damage, one of the higher damaging projectiles in the game. So trading with it is not the best idea all the time, as well as it is completely safe up close. So point blank, it is -7. There's only 3 characters in this game that can punish -7 things. Liu Kang's whiffs, Kung Lao's whiffs, Li Mei actually can punish it with her EX kick. But other than that, it is very, very good. Your go-to projectile, what you're going to be using the most when you're zoning. You also have Tornado, which is going to be our combo launcher, and one of our extenders is the main reason you're going to use it. It gives Kitana her meterless launcher. You can do it off of practically anything grounded. It is very, very strong, and it is, of course, death on block. You can use it in zoning, but once again, it's super negative. Sometimes I use it to chip people out, so like if they need to, or if they're one hit away from losing the round or something, I'll just throw this out because it covers a lot of distance. It'll hit them on the floor, and then I could control it. Depending on where they jump, if they do jump, I could just react and control it that way. But other than that, just our grounded launcher. And then we have Princess Pirouette. Non-EX version of this is kind of useless to speak about. The only thing that there is to say about this move is that usually you're going to, when you're going for maximum damage as Kitana, going to do a grounded string into Princess Pirouette into a cameo to get maximum damage. Other than that, you're not going to be really using this, except for cameo-specific stuff. Like, of course, if you play Jax, you can use it to go over ground pound and stuff like that. But other than that, it's not a move that you're going to be wanting to use very often. As well, it's just death on block. It's also, if they crush block, it's a mid into a high, so they can just crush block the second hit and then punish her that way as well. So, not a great move by itself, but of course, EX version is different. We'll get into that later. And then we have down back 3, another really good projectile. It does the same amount of damage as our regular fan toss, and it covers obviously the air. If you hit this later on in its active frames, you can actually combo off of it if they get hit while jumping. And then other than that, if they block it, it's actually plus. But this does go away on hit when it's non-EX, so if they were to just, if I was to do something like this or whatever, and they're right in front of my face and they were to hit me, it would just go away. They won't get hit. So other than that, just a really, really strong anti-air projectile. It's good in a lot of different like Oki setups and stuff like that as well, because it is plus on like meaty. Actually, let me show that really fast because I'm not going to come back to that move. Like for example, if I was to put him on auto block and do a combo, and then meaty with this, you know, it's plus, and I could continue. Stuff like that. It's cool to use that move that way. Other than that, we have Wind Bomb. When you think of Wind Bomb, at this point, you're probably thinking of the fact that Kitana has unblockable setups with Wind Bomb. Like, she can set Wind Bomb in front of her opponent, then, you know, pull them into it, and blah, 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 blah. Besides that, which we will cover later, it is also just a great trap projectile. To create space, obviously, you cannot walk through it. So if you try to jump it, she can obviously cover it with down back 3 and all types of things. Just a great trap that she has. Good for set play, and I mean, it's a slow startup, but you'll find ways to set it up, I'm sure. Like if you were to, for example, have somebody jumping at you and you anti-air them with a projectile, you can set this up so when they get up, they have to deal with that on the screen as well. Stuff like that. Just a regular trap. Cool. So now let's get into the really, really relevant things, which is going to be the EX properties of Kitana's projectiles, or special moves in general. So actually, before we get into EX moves, I wanted to come back and say one more thing. So actually, Fan Lift, Down Back 3, Wind Bomb, and EX Back Forward 1, they all actually have different versions of it that you can use. I kind of talked about it a little bit, but when I was talking about Down Back 1, but they all have a close, a medium, a far version, and then like Wind Bomb has a very far version. So just make sure you know that when you're doing combos and stuff, especially in the corner. Down back 1, you're going to be wanting to use the close version practically always, because if you use regular down back 1, it'll whiff a lot of the times in the corner. Just wanted to make that clear. And then I actually forgot to talk about down back 2 completely, and this is a great special move. So down back 2 is really good for anti-air situations. Some jumping kicks like Sindel, if you see me play the Sindel matchup, instead of risking anti-airing and getting, like, you know, punished by float, jumping kick or something, I would just actually go to down back to her completely. It's a good anti-air from a distance. Obviously, standing 2 is better. You get a lot more damage. But in certain scenarios, down back 2 actually is pretty good for that. But other than that, down back 2 is good for escapes. It's really like Kitana, once again, she is a space control zoner, and if you're trying to run away from your opponent or you end up getting cornered, a lot of the time as Kitana, it is very good to just straight up jump forward, down back 2 out the corner. It's really good for escapes and stuff like that. Other than that, you can combo into it with EX, but we'll get into that later, and it is also punishable on block. One thing about it though, really weird, I do not recommend this, by the way, so do not do this, but down back 2 on block is actually really awkward to punish. People miss the punish on it very often and just get whiff punished because they don't expect all the pushback. If they were to just dash, of course, you get punished, but sometimes people do miss it. So when I do accidentally get this on block, because sometimes if I'm trying to buffer back 2, I get down back 2, I just backdash and I get a full whiff punish for people trying to to punish me. It's actually kind of funny. Once again, I don't recommend it, but I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. Now we can get into the EX versions of moves. Alright, so getting into EX moves, I'm doing this in a particular order because the last 2 actually are going to tie into pressure-related things, which is going to be the next section. So, starting off with EX Princess Pirouette, it's just our armor move. It is okay, nothing special, 15 frames to start up. Once again, it is a mid into a high, so a lot of the time if you're doing it on block with certain cameos and expecting to be safe, if they actually just crouch block it, they'll be able to hit you and your cameo, so it's not really good in that regard to find a safe armored launcher with her. But other than that, it is a pretty good special move for an armored launcher in general. She gets armored launchers with a lot of different cameos. She gets it with, for example, Jax, Striker, Janet, Movado, Chameleon, Cyrax, even Kano in the corner. I'm sure Striker, now that he got buffed, like, she gets armored launchers all over the place. So it's good in that regard. Other than that, just our armored move. We have EX down back 2, which it can be EX multiple times to tie into itself or to tie into other air normals. What it's mainly going to be used for, other than if you just want to do a weird, like, for some reason, brutality combo or something, it's actually good because 1-1, down back 1 doesn't connect mid-screen, and like standing 4-4-3-3 down back 1 also doesn't connect mid-screen. So what you would have to do is EX down back 2, down back 1 in order to get the combo. Sorry, something just happened with my mic. Anyways, and then same thing here. That will give you a combo mid-screen. So it's good for that regard. Other than that, you won't really be using it. It doesn't come out on block, so it's only on hit that you will be able to tie it into another move. Now, let's get into EX down back 3 and EX back forward 1. I'm going to separate this because we're going to get into the pressure side of things with Kitana with these moves. Okay, so to speak about Kitana's pressure, and let's get into this section to explain how you're going to be opening people up with this character and what she does. Now, I mentioned before that Kitana does not have consistent ways to open somebody up and stay on top of her opponent. She is not that kind of character. However, she does have gimmicks. So I know I talked about these 2 moves in particular in my last year's guide on her and talked about how good they are. And as the game has developed and as people have learned their options, they are still good. However, I want to put out there that they are gimmicky. So let's just go over why they would be enticing to use in pressure and why you would want to use it. So use it in general. But EX back forward 1, for example, can be controlled multiple distances, and it is plus 14 on block. Meaning that, I don't know why is it not saying my plus frames? Interesting. Anyways, it is plus 14. So meaning that your follow-up actually jails after this. So if you were to go for 1-1 and they would try to press something, or you'd even try to go for standing 2 and they try to press something, it will actually jail them. They cannot armor, they cannot mash. So doing strings into this sometimes will allow her to continue her pressure and allow her to stay on top of her opponent. However, and actually, let's just go over down back 3 as well while we're at it. Down back 3 can do the same thing. So for example, right, if I was to set Kinchi to do a reversal down 1, and put that on. We're going with navigation. Let's see. Cool. If I was to make Kinchi do a reversal, and I was to go for down back 3, EX down back 3, he gets punished for trying to press. So if I was to condition him to want to press after that stagger, for example, and I was to go for this, and he was to do the same thing, he would actually get launched for attempting to do so. That sounds great. And as well as if he was to block, now I'm plus because EX down back 3 is plus. And the same thing applies to doing this with EX back forward 1, and you get more plus frames. Obviously, it's slower. Now, the thing about both of these moves is that they are gimmicky. So if you were to be playing as and every character in the game has an option. Any character can bare minimum jump out, right? They all have an option to full combo punish Kitana for doing this. And if your opponent doesn't know the answer, by all means, I mean, abuse it. Because they're great moves if your opponent doesn't have the awareness to deal with it. But if they do, they're not so great, and you need to be careful using this stuff in pressure because yes, they're plus frames, yes, they get launched that they try to interrupt, but if they read you or if they even just react, you don't need to read it at all. You can full combo punish this character for attempting to create situations that aren't made to really exist, for free, at least. So just keep that in mind. Now that we got our gimmicks out the way, so let's talk about the main way I go about pressuring people and opening people up as Kitana. So Kitana is a character, once again, that goes based off of your opponent's mistakes, and she is a character where her pressure relies on stagger and backdash pressure. Backdash pressure mainly became a thing in MK11, and continuing on in MK1, she is a character that utilizes it very, very well. So, her staggers. She has a lot of great buttons, and once again, we spoke about her buttons always being around the same general area, which is -4 to -7-ish. Great for staggering. And in general, so if I was to go to my opponent and do standing 2, which is -7, and try to mash down 1, obviously since I'm -7 and he is pressing, I am not able to press again up close. But if I was to have a space back 2 into backdash back 2, which is our great mid, I can check him for attempting to poke out of my stagger, which will blow him up, do a lot of damage, and this is not something that you're just able to eat and go on with your day. If I was to bait you to do that and hit you with this as Kitana, and I'm playing Jax, for example, I am now leading you into 40% into the corner, into a guaranteed, 8% chip setup. Stuff like that is not something that is going to come by and be like, oh, that's cool. No, you're going to die. You're going to die, and that's just what it's going to be. Other than that, though, however, this is something that happens based off your opponent's mistakes, and that's something that I'm trying to reiterate when I'm teaching people this character, is she is not a character that is going to make it easy on you. She's going to be a character that you have to consistently adapt to what your opponent is doing, and everybody has different defensive habits. One person's going to be wanting to mash poke after your staggers every single time. Somebody else is going to be wanting to backdash away from you when you stagger. Somebody else is going to be wanting to armor. Like, there's always going to be something different that you have to look out for, which can make her fun, but can also frustrate others when it comes to rushing people down as this character. So, for example, that stagger sequence I just did with standing 2, she can do off of a lot of stuff. She can do it off of 1-1, for example, into backdash back 2. She can do it off of 2-4 into backdash back 2. She can do even space back 2 into backdash back 2. This stuff is very, very good, and, it's something that is, once again, something that you are going to be having to adapt to your opponent and use that way. And that's when it comes to all of her pressure. Even when it comes to using EX back forward 1 and EX down back 3 and stuff like this, it's all playing off your opponent's mistakes. Your opponent is killing themselves, and you have to be ready to punish them appropriately. So if they were to, example, want to stop that, a good player would walk back after a stagger, right? If they walk back, you chase them down with back 2. But if you were to backdash back to them and read a poke out, because you're doing back 2 preemptively most of the time, you can train your mind or train your brain and reactions to actually react to them poking, but you're more likely to miss the punish than you would if you were to do it preemptively. But obviously you whiff this time, so you get whiff punished. So there's different options that they have. Of course, another way that they would be able to stop this is chase you down. As Kenshi, you do a micro dash back 2 or something, and it will catch the backdash. So if I was to do this and backdash back 2, I get hit. But if he was to try to do that and I was to just stagger into another button, I now shut down that option as well. So it's just like a rock, paper, scissors mind game on a lot of her normals because she's able to do this so consistently. So that's mainly how Kitana's pressure is built up. I, of course, can lay out a foundation. I can tell you to start with your staggers and then poke afterwards, condition your opponent to poke you, and then when they start to poke you, that's when you start going for your backdash pressure and blowing them up. But once again, this is not something that's going to be consistent on every single person you fight. You kind of have to get into the habit of reading your opponent, and that is how you're going to open people up as this character. She does not make it easy on you. If you wanted that in the character, there's not even a cameo realistically besides Farah that can help her out in that regard. So there you go. I think we're going to get into combos now. I hope I explained her pressure fairly well. If you have any questions, because this is something I get questions about a lot, make sure you just DM me or comment it and we can talk about it. Other than that, let's get into combos and then we'll get into maybe some general tech. There's not very much tech with this character on a base level, but I can talk about some things and then we'll end the video out there. So yeah, let's get into combos. So these combos are just going to be generally the most important combos I find myself using most of the time. I really, once again, I'm urging you guys to join the Discord. In the Kitana section of the Discord, I actually have a link to a Google Doc that has all the combos, all her general BNBs and stuff written out that Kat's worked on a while ago. So please go in there and look at that Google Doc in the Kitana section to get access to all the combos that she has, please. But other than that, enjoy these ones and you can use these ones as well. And I'm not going to include base Kitana EX corner combos just due to the fact that you don't gain a lot of damage. The only time you're going to be really using meter is when you're combining it with cameos to prolong your damage. Otherwise, you're best off learning the first couple corner combos I showed you. Right, and honestly, I think that is a good place to probably end off the base guide. I was going to add tech to this, but honestly, when we start adding tech, we're getting off the basics of the character and kind of getting into the understanding that you already know how to play her. So we're going to do that in another video soon. Other than that, my next video, once again, is going to be a Kitana Jax update. And another thing, once again, I know I talked about it a couple times, please join the Discord if you guys are looking for coaching and general help with the game as well. The Discord offers that, but once again, all the resources being there, and it's way easier to just keep a track of, like, actual character information. That's the main goal here. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't think I have much to say. Coming up, once again, I'm going to be trying to get back into the game more. I really like Noob, funny enough. I don't know if I'm going to post content on him or not, but yeah, we have so many things to update. We have cameos that have got buffed and all types of things that I still have to catch up on and make videos for, so we'll see about that in the future. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you later.